She was just a brilliant doctor, until one fragile child opened her past. And when she looked into his eyes, she saw the billionaire she once loved standing behind him. But why did he disappear years ago? Why is the child fighting for his life now? And what shocking truth ties them all together? This is a story of betrayal, redemption, and a second chance at love that no one saw coming. Stay till the end, because the final twist will leave you speechless. Before we begin this powerful story, make sure to hit that subscribe button and tap the bell icon so you never miss an episode of our life-changing content. If you find value in stories that move, inspire, and uplift, like this video and share it with someone who needs it today. This is more than just storytelling. Every narrative carries a deep moral lesson designed to touch hearts and spark transformation. Let's grow, reflect, and rise together. She thought the child was just another patient, until she saw the billionaire father she once loved. I remember the rain that morning. Soft. Persistent. It tapped against the glass wall of my office like an old friend begging for attention. I stood in silence, staring at the skyline of a city I once ruled with pride. They still called me a billionaire. But truthfully, I felt like a man made of ash. Empty. Fragile. Gone were the crowds, the awards, the interviews. All that remained was this haunting silence, and the sound of my son's breathing machine down the hall. Nathan. 5 years old. My world. And the only part of her I had left. His heart was weak. Too weak. And I, a man who had built empires, was powerless in front of a hospital bed. The doctors spoke in cold logic. Words like transplant list, rejection risk, limited time. But it was not numbers I feared. It was losing the only living proof of the woman who once changed everything. She. Her name still sat like a prayer on my tongue. Maya. The doctor who broke through my arrogance when I was young, foolish, and full of steel. We had met when I was nobody. A college dropout with a dream and $100 suit. She saw through the lies I wore. Called me out. But never left. She fed me soup in a one-bedroom apartment. Sat beside me when my first company failed. Taught me how to breathe again when betrayal by my own brother nearly tore me apart. Maya did not love the money. She loved the man before the money existed. And I loved her more than I ever admitted. But I was ambitious. Blind. When my startup exploded overnight, I drowned in the noise. Boardrooms. Shareholders. Power. I convinced myself that love was a distraction. That she deserved better than my chaos. So I walked away. Left her standing on that rainy bridge with a letter in her hand, and no explanation. I did not know then that she carried my child. Now, 5 years later, fate laughed cruelly. I returned not as a lover, but as a desperate father. They had recommended a new pediatric cardiologist. Brilliant. Empathetic. Respected in her field. I had said yes, without knowing her name. Until the door opened, and Maya stood there, in a white coat, hair tied back, eyes older, but unmistakably her. She froze when she saw me. Her gaze did not blink, but her lips trembled. Nathan looked up at her. "Are you my doctor?" he asked with innocent eyes. And she knelt, touched his tiny hand. "I am," she whispered. But I saw the storm behind her calm. She had no idea that the boy was hers. And I had no words brave enough to tell her. Not yet. Because how do you explain stealing years from someone who gave you everything? How do you look into the eyes of the woman you once walked away from, and say you were wrong? She treated him with gentle hands. Every day. Every test. Every moment. She stayed longer than she needed. She brought toys. She told stories. Nathan adored her. He called her Miss Star, because she had once pointed at a night sky and said that doctors were just stars who refused to stop shining. One night, after Nathan fell asleep, she stood by the window. The moonlight framed her like something holy. "I had a son," she said softly. My breath caught. She never looked at me. He never cried in my arms. I lost him the moment he was born. I turned to her, heart pounding. She finally met my eyes. But I see him in this boy. In his smile. In his laugh. In his stubbornness. I see the man I once loved. My voice cracked. Maya. And just then, the monitor beeped. Nathan's heart rate spiked. Alarms screamed. Nurses rushed in. Maya ran faster. She grabbed the paddles. Called his name. I stood frozen. Praying. Remembering the bridge. The letter. The love I destroyed. And the second chance I never thought I deserved. As the machine buzzed. And Maya yelled. I realized. This moment was more than life or death. It was redemption. Or ruin. And I could no longer stay silent. Because if he lived, she deserved the truth. If he lived, we all did. The room pulsed with tension. Beep. Buzz. Silence. Then, another beep. Softer. Steady. Life. Nathan's chest rose slowly. His tiny fingers twitched. And Maya, hands shaking, eyes wide, let out a breath so heavy it cracked something inside me. She whispered, "Come back, little star." And he did. Nathan lived. Because of her. Again. I sank to the floor outside the room. My head in my hands. I was a man who once negotiated billion-dollar deals without blinking. But now, I could not even hold back tears. Maya stepped out minutes later. Blood on her gloves. Sweat on her brow. But calm. Always calm. Except her eyes. They burned with something deeper. She stood over me. You knew. Her voice did not accuse. It ached. I looked up. Yes. She lowered herself to the floor beside me. You took him. No, I said. I did not know. Not then. Your letter. I never opened it. I was too full of myself. She stared at me. Silent. Heavy. I found out only a year ago, I continued. When he fell sick. When the doctors asked for maternal history. I traced everything. I knew you had changed cities. I knew you were here. But I never expected. I could not finish. She wiped her hands with the edge of her coat. He is mine. Yours, I said. Ours, she whispered, correcting me. There was a long pause. Only the quiet hum of the hospital behind us. I should hate you, she said. I would understand. I should scream, cry, run. I turned to her. Then why are you still here? She did not answer. Instead, she reached into her pocket, pulled out a small, creased photo. A baby, wrapped in a blanket, eyes closed. A bracelet on his wrist. The name tag read Nathaniel. I carried him for 9 months, she said. Raised him in my heart. Even when they told me he might not survive. Even when I had no family, no support. I believed he was born to live. I stared at the photo. That same bracelet still sat on Nathan's wrist. She had kept it all. Even when I had let everything go. Maya, I whispered, ashamed. She leaned her head against the wall. I do not want revenge. I do not need an apology wrapped in wealth. My chest tightened. I want the truth, she said. And I want to know what kind of man you are now. And that question broke me. Because for years, I had measured my worth by numbers. Forbes rankings. Profit margins. Assets. But she was asking something no spreadsheet could answer. What kind of man was I now? A father. Yes. But was I more? Could I become more? I reached into my coat pocket. Pulled out a small velvet box. I had kept it all these years. The engagement ring I bought the week before I left her. The one I never gave. I opened it. Placed it gently on the floor between us. I am not asking you to forgive me. She looked at the ring. Then at me. I am asking you to help me become worthy of forgiveness. Tears welled in her eyes. Not because of the ring. But because I finally saw her. Not as someone I left behind. But as the woman who saved me, again. Saved our son. Saved the part of me I thought was dead. Suddenly, the door opened. Nathan's nurse peeked out. Dr. Maya,
He is awake.
And asking for you.
She stood, but paused, turned to me.
You should come too.
I nodded.
But as we stepped toward the room, a voice from down the corridor cut through the quiet. I was wondering when you would finally tell her.
I froze. Maya turned.
And standing there, in a tailored suit,
cold eyes,
and a smirk that could rot steel, was my brother,
Jason.
The same man who betrayed me years ago. The same man who nearly stole everything I built.
Maya stiffened.
Why is he here? She asked.
My heart pounded.
Because suddenly, I realized, Nathan's life was not the only one hanging in balance. The past I buried was clawing back to the surface.
And this time,
it was coming for all of us.
Jason stepped closer.
Polished shoes clicking on the hospital tiles like warning shots. Maya's fingers instinctively curled around her stethoscope. I rose to my feet.
Every muscle tense.
Every memory crashing down. You have no right to be here, I said.
Jason smiled. A slow, venomous grin.
I have every right, he said. Especially when the company papers still list me as co-founder.
Maya looked at me. Confused. Worried. I shook my head. He forged them, I said.
Years ago. While I was distracted with a product launch, he filed documents behind my back. Jason clapped mockingly. Still spinning that victim narrative, brother?
Let me guess.
You were too busy saving the world to notice your own flesh and blood stealing your legacy.
Maya stepped forward.
You want to argue about money in front of your nephew's hospital room? Jason raised an eyebrow.
Nephew. His eyes flicked between us. Oh, he said slowly.
So the rumors were true. He leaned in, voice dripping with poison.
Tell me, Maya.
Do you really think he would have stayed if you told him back then? I clenched my fists. Maya never needed to trap me. She was the only person who loved me before the world did. Jason's face darkened. And yet you left her.
Silence. A wound reopened. I looked down. Ashamed.
Maya did not speak. She did not need to. The truth hung heavy between all three of us. Jason folded his arms. I did not come here to fight, he said. I came to offer a deal. I stared at him. Get out. He smiled wider. I can fast-track Nathan's transplant. I have connections. Power. Influence. Maya looked stunned. I stayed still. He continued. But it comes with a price. He pulled a sleek folder from his jacket. Held it out. Sign over your remaining shares in the company. Walk away completely. Let me own the empire you built. I laughed. A low, bitter sound. You think I would sell my soul for a miracle? Jason's face hardened. No, he said. I think you already did. Years ago. When you chose power over love. Maya stepped between us. Enough. Her presence silenced everything. I do not know what history you two destroyed together, she said. But I will not let either of you use Nathan as a chess piece. Jason's jaw tightened. Then let him die, he said coldly, turning away. I lunged forward. Grabbed his arm. You come near him again. Maya held up her hand. Not here. Not now. Jason pulled away. Brushed his suit. And walked out. The tension in the hallway melted into a dreadful quiet. Maya's hands trembled. Not from fear. But fury. We need to protect Nathan, she said. Not just from sickness. But from shadows like him. I nodded. She turned to me. Eyes fierce. But you need to tell him the truth. I swallowed hard. What truth? That you are not just his father. Her voice broke. You are the reason he was born. Suddenly, Nathan's voice called out. Soft. Raspy. Mom. We froze. She turned slowly, tears springing to her eyes. And I realized he had spoken a word he had never spoken before. Mom. For the first time. A whisper. A thread. A beginning.
She opened the door, stepped inside, and I followed.
Because this story was no longer just about the past. It was about the future we had to rebuild.
Together.
The room felt different now.
Brighter.
As if the air itself had shifted when Nathan said that word.
Mom.
Maya stood frozen for a moment, then slowly walked to his bedside. Her hands trembled as she reached for his. Nathan looked up at her, weak but smiling.
You stayed, he whispered.
She nodded, voice tight with emotion. I will always stay.
He blinked, then looked past her. At me.
Is he my dad? Maya turned, her eyes asking for something. Courage, perhaps.
I stepped forward.
Kneeling beside him.
I am, I said.
Nathan looked at me for a long time. Then why did you never tell me? The question was not angry.
Just honest. Painfully honest. I took a deep breath.
Because lies had no place here anymore. I was scared, I admitted. Not of you. But of failing you. Of not being the kind of man a child like you deserves.
He blinked slowly, then looked at Maya again.
But Mom is not scared. Maya smiled through her tears.
No, she said.
I was just waiting for the right moment. To bring us all together. Nathan's little hand reached for both of ours. And in that single gesture, I felt something I had not felt in years.
Hope.
But it did not last long.
A nurse knocked gently. There is a visitor, she said softly.
From the transplant committee. He says it is urgent. Maya and I exchanged a glance.
I kissed Nathan's forehead. Rest, champ.
We will be right outside. He nodded, eyes already heavy. Outside the room, a man in a dark suit stood by the nurse's station. He had a badge clipped to his coat.
Dr. Maya. Mr. Vance, he greeted.
I am Marcus Lee, coordinator for priority organ transplants. Maya crossed her arms.
Yes.
There is a possible donor match for Nathan, he said.
My heart jumped.
A flicker of joy lit Maya's face. But, Marcus continued, there are complications. Always a but.
Always a price. He looked at me.
The match is part of a political family.
High profile.
They want complete confidentiality.
No publicity. No media. No leaks. I frowned.
We can give them that.
Marcus hesitated. There is more.
They want something in return.
Maya's voice sharpened.
What kind of something? Marcus lowered his voice.
They want the story buried.
Their child's involvement erased. No medical credits. No doctor citations.
And he looked at me.
They want a sizable donation. To their private foundation.
From you. I stood there. Numb. It was blackmail. Dressed in formal wear.
Maya clenched her fists. This is unethical, she snapped. Organ donations are not currency.
Marcus nodded. I agree.
But I am just the messenger. This offer bypasses normal waitlist delays. If you refuse, the match may be given to the next eligible child.
My throat dried.
Maya turned to me.
Say no, she whispered.
I looked through the window.
At Nathan.
Smiling in his sleep. Oblivious to the weight crashing over his parents.
My mind screamed. My heart shattered. And I knew.
Whatever I chose next would define me.
Forever. I looked at Maya.
At the fire in her eyes. At the conviction of a woman who had fought for life, not deals. She shook her head slightly, silently begging me to choose integrity. But then I looked at Nathan. His chest rising. Falling. Each breath a fragile miracle. I built my life negotiating with people like this, I said slowly. But this is not a negotiation. Maya stepped closer. Her voice cracked. If you do this, you are no different than Jason.
That hit me. Hard. She was right.
I had spent years trying to prove I was not him. Not the kind of man who saw people as stepping stones. Not the kind who traded lives for legacy. But now the price was not fame.
It was my son. I cannot lose him, I whispered.
Tears welled in Maya's eyes.
And I cannot lose you again, she said.
Not to the same darkness. I turned to Marcus.
Voice steady.
What is the deadline? 6 hours, he replied. Then the offer expires. Maya pulled me aside, away from his gaze. Her voice dropped to a whisper. There is another way.
I frowned.
What are you saying? She glanced over her shoulder, ensuring no one was listening.
There is a clinic, she said.
Not part of the main network. They work with donors who choose anonymously.
Pure ethics.
No strings. Why have we not tried them already?
She hesitated.
Because one of the lead doctors there is my mentor. And he hates me.
I blinked. What? She exhaled.
Years ago, when I was pregnant, he warned me not to keep the child. Said it would ruin my career. I walked away. Took a residency somewhere else. He never forgave me. I stared at her. And now?
She swallowed hard.
If I ask him for this, I will owe him everything.
My pride.
My career.
My name. I shook my head. No.
You should not have to do that. She met my gaze. But if I do not, you will. And suddenly I saw it. The difference between us. I had built an empire.
But she had built a life.
One that did not trade values for survival. She had already sacrificed everything once, for Nathan. Now it was my turn.
She looked at me. Tired. Worn. But still standing. Still strong. Let me try, she said. I nodded. Her hand touched mine. Warm. Real.
And for the first time in years, I realized. This woman was my home.
Not the skyscraper. Not the money. Not the brand. Her.
Just as I turned back toward Marcus to stall for time, my phone vibrated. A message from an unknown number. One line. You will not save him without me.
Attached was a photo. Jason.
Standing beside the political donor's family.
Smiling. I looked up, heart pounding, and saw him. In the lobby. Watching us. Smiling.
As if the game had just begun. I stared at the photo. My hands trembling.
Jason. Always Jason.
He did not just find the donor. He orchestrated the entire trap. He wanted something far more dangerous than money.
Control. Power. Submission.
Maya saw the shift in my eyes before I said a word.
What happened? She asked. I turned the phone toward her. Her face paled. She looked up. Saw him through the lobby glass.
Jason raised his coffee cup in a mocking toast. My blood ran cold.
He knew, I said.
He knew before we did.
Maya clenched her jaw.
He's forcing your hand.
I nodded.
But we are not going to play his game.
She exhaled. Then we have to move. Now.
She grabbed her coat.
I followed. As we approached the elevator, Marcus stepped forward.
You are leaving? Maya looked him straight in the eye. We are seeking a second opinion.
His face tightened.
That might disqualify the offer.
I held his gaze. Then let it.
We stepped inside the elevator.
The doors began to close.
Jason appeared at the last second.
Blocked them with his hand. Stepped in. Smiling.
As if we were all just family on a Sunday stroll. He pressed the button for the parking level. Leaned against the wall. I admire the loyalty, he said to Maya. But you know he cannot win without me.
Maya turned to him. Voice calm.
You do not care about Nathan. Jason's eyes narrowed. I care about watching my brother finally kneel.
I stepped in front of him.
Fury rising. You are playing with a child's life. Jason laughed. Do not pretend you are clean.
You abandoned her.
You built your kingdom on silence and shame. I am just holding a mirror. Maya placed a hand on my arm.
I breathed. Focused.
This was not the moment to fall. Not with Nathan waiting. Not with truth finally within reach. When the elevator opened, I stepped out first.
Jason followed, still talking.
You have 6 hours. Or I make the call, and the donor moves on. I stopped walking.
Turned slowly.
You think you are the gatekeeper, I said. But you forgot one thing. He raised an eyebrow.
What?
Maya stepped beside me. Smiling now.
Soft. But sure.
He is not alone anymore. Jason's smirk faltered.
Just slightly. But I saw it. And it was enough. We walked away.
Maya pulled out her phone. Dialed a number I had never seen.
Dr. Iqbal, she said softly. It is Maya.
I need your help.
It is urgent. There was a long pause. She listened. Then her voice broke. Yes.
It is about my son. Tears filled her eyes as she turned to me.
He will see us. Now. Tonight. My heart pounded.
Then let's go.
We reached the car. Buckle clicks. Engine hums.
And as the city blurred past the windows, I realized. This story was no longer about one mistake. It was about reclaiming everything I lost.
Love. Family. Honor.
And as Maya rested her head gently against the glass, I reached over.
Held her hand. She did not pull away.
For the first time in years. We were headed toward hope.
Together.
We arrived at the private clinic just past midnight.
Rain fell again.
Just like it did the day I left her.
Only this time.
I was not running. We were welcomed by a tall, older man with silver hair and quiet authority.
Dr. Iqbal. Maya's former mentor.
His eyes held the weight of history.
And regret.
He looked at Maya for a long time. Then gently said, "You kept the child."
She nodded.
I kept everything that mattered. He turned to me next.
Silent. Assessing.
I said nothing. There was nothing clever to say.
Only truth left.
And truth finally spoke louder than all the years between us. He led us into the consultation room. Reviewed Nathan's files.
Scanned each chart. Then looked up. There is a match, he said. Maya gasped. Tears filled her eyes.
But, he added, we have very little time.
I stepped forward.
What do you need from me?
He looked at us both.
I need you to be parents. Not warriors.
Not business people. Just parents.
Because this child will need more than a new heart. He tapped the table softly. He will need both of yours. The surgery was scheduled within hours. Dawn was just beginning to break as Nathan was wheeled into the operating room.
He looked at me. Then at Maya.
Will I be okay?
Maya kissed his forehead.
You will be more than okay.
You will be whole. I leaned in. Held his hand. Be brave, son.
And when you wake up, we will both be here.
He smiled. Then closed his eyes. We waited in silence. Long. Heavy. Endless.
Until the surgeon finally stepped out.
Pulled off his mask. And nodded. It was a success. Relief collapsed us. We wept.
Maya fell into my arms. And this time, I did not let her go.
3 months later.
Nathan ran across the garden chasing butterflies. Laughing. Breathing freely. The scar beneath his shirt now a mark of strength.
Not pain.
I stood watching him from the porch. Maya joined me, holding 2 mugs of tea.
I looked at her.
Do you ever think that if we had done everything right, we would not have ended up here?
She smiled. No.
I think we ended up exactly where we needed to.
I nodded.
Because sometimes, broken paths lead to whole destinations.
And love, real love,
finds its way not through perfection, but through forgiveness,
growth, and truth.
Moral of the story. We often chase success, believing it lies in power, status, and ambition. But true success is not found in titles or towers. It is found in the people who choose to stay when everything else falls apart. It is in the courage to admit our failures, in the strength to forgive, and in the grace to begin again. Because in the end, a second chance is the most precious gift of all.
And sometimes,
love is not what you hold on to. It is what holds you together. Thank you for listening to this heartfelt story. If it moved you, share it, comment below, and let someone know. You are never alone.